Very challenging, hot, difficult work. You might have heard about some of the human rights violations going on around the building of the World Cup soccer stadiums. Very much impacted Nepalese. Very, very challenging, very challenging. A step up from that would be factory work in Malaysia or Korea. And the most prestigious of the migrant work is to become a Gurkha for the British Army, right? Military service. Maybe you go to be a police officer in Singapore also, some of those kinds of positions. But all of this is difficult, dangerous work. None of it's easy. And yet it's this very important part of the Nepali economy. A lot of it has extensive periods of family separation. And so that also impacts the Nepali society and has another kind of ripple effect into the status and role of women as well. Because in Nepal, arranged marriage is still the traditional form of marriage. And there are changes in that. There is an increasing number of people who have what we call a love marriage, which means the young people meet and then the family goes through all the formal rituals of arranging the marriage. But that arranged marriage is still important. And if you're going to be sending your son off for several years possibly, you want to make sure that he is tied to the community, has a sense of family, a sense of belonging. So what better time to arrange a marriage than just before he leaves? Or, you know, maybe a little while before that. But that then creates these very challenging situations for women, because when you get married as a woman, you leave your Maitigar, your mother's house, and you become part of your husband's family. And that has also been built into the laws of Nepal. So another law that has also changed about 5 years ago was it used to be that you could only have one name on the land title. You can now have two names, but it hasn't changed much. So for 90% of the land in Nepal, whose name is on that land title? The husband's. And the inheritance laws are different than our standard inheritance laws here. So in the US, the standard inheritance law states that if one spouse dies, the property transfers to the other spouse. Obviously, you could write wills and stuff to change that, but that's our standard legal provision. Not in Nepal. In Nepal, yeah. So in Nepal, if the father dies, the land is divided equally among his male children. And any unmarried daughter over the age of 35. Because women inherit with their husbands. And if you're 35, you're doomed. You're never going to get married. So that law has also changed. Has now changed so that both sons and daughters inherit equally.
Wow.
But what about the wife? Yeah.
She might remarry and they don't want to pass on to the next man.
Yeah. No, there's all sorts of complications like that, right? But what does that mean? Where does her security come from? Her children, and particularly her sons. So she is reliant on her sons to be cared for. And so, when your children are young, and you got an extra chicken leg, which child's gonna get that?
Son.
If there's chores to do after school, which child's gonna get to sit and do their homework, and which child's gonna be sent to the water tap to carry the water back? Yeah. So all of this that we call son preference in child rearing, right? It's linked up with the legal and economic situations in the country.